All right, and we are live for AMA Thursday. I'm excited to be here, guys. I hope you are as well. Let me know what questions you have for me. Drop them in the chat boxes below, wherever you're tuning in from, and I'll be trying to answer as many of them as I can. So I already have a few to get started, but go ahead and drop them in the chat box like I said. And over the next 45 minutes, I'm going to answer any questions I can for you guys, whether it's about Amazon or general entrepreneurship or living the life of a digital nomad or whatever questions you have for me, just let me know and drop them in the chat box. All right. So to get started here, from Facebook, Justin said, "Hello guys. I'm just going through all your great useful videos and I have one question that I can't figure out the answer to. Usually when you put in the search tool to find a profitable product, you put the average sales around 300 or 400 units. Why do you never put, for example, at least 1,000 or 2,000 so you'll really sell a lot?" That's a great question. My goal is always to sell a product that at least sells like 10 units a day, which is like 300 a month. So that's generally what I use. If you put those filters in the Jungle Scout tool and it's way too many products that's overwhelming for you, feel free to increase that to 1,000 units a month or 2,000 units a month or whatever you want. Generally, those items selling like 2,000 units a month are pretty competitive because there's tons and tons of demand in there. But feel free to use those as filters and check it out. Before I forget, I do have an exciting giveaway going on, guys. You can find it at gregmercer.com/founder. I purchased 50 of the Founder V1 coffee books. It's a really nice book. It's a hardcover. It's super long. I don't even remember how long. It's an $80 book, so it's a very high-end book, and I'm giving away 50 of the units. I'll pay for shipping. I'm shipping them all over the world. It's not like a free plus shipping offer or anything like that. It's just totally 100% free. If you're interested in entering that, gregmercer.com/founder, and you can find the details there. All right, we have another question from YouTube that says, all right, Madhouse Paintball. I've been on YouTube a lot and there's a lot of different info. Man, am I confused. One guy says he disagrees with this or that or the other thing. Is creating a unique product the way to go? And focus more on building a brand. And there's a few more questions in this particular question, but let me just start with that one. And I'm just going to say this, that as a beginner, it can be extremely frustrating or overwhelming getting content from lots of different sources about becoming an entrepreneur or starting a business or whatever else, because the truth of the matter is there's lots of different formulas that work, okay? I personally have a formula that I believe is the best, but other people believe that their formula is the best as well. What I would encourage you guys to do is, at least when you're getting started, to kind of just follow along with one person, follow their formula that works, and kind of go from there and then build from there. So I would encourage you to follow along with our $1 million case study. It's 100% totally transparent. And you can follow along with the entire process and watch us launch the product as we're showing you every steps along the way. And we've done this multiple times and launched multiple products totally publicly. So it's very proven that it works, okay? That's one of the reasons I really like it, is like we've proven to the world, we show you what our products is. Like no one else shows you what their products are. So it's kind of like, yeah, just trust me. It's like, well, you can see that we've launched multiple successful products in a row. And I'm confident that this next product will be successful as well. So I would encourage you guys to follow along with that. Once you understand all those steps and start selling on Amazon, then I think it's easier to kind of get different thoughts from different people. But in the early stages, that can be very confusing. So those are my thoughts on it. Marquette on YouTube had a really nice comment. She said, "I really appreciate the Q&A sessions. As a complete beginner, your sessions and guidance gives me the strength to keep going." God bless you, Greg. Thank you very much, Marquette, and thank you for following along. On YouTube, we got one from Albi Do. How do you estimate shipping costs? Shipping costs are difficult to estimate. If I were to give you some rules of thumb, you can use the rule of thumb of $6 per kilogram for air freight, okay? With ocean freight, it's much more different. Of course, that's a rule of thumb. The rates fluctuate through the seasons. During Q4, they're the highest because that's when the highest volume is being shipped internationally. For ocean freight, unfortunately, I don't have any good rules of thumbs for you because it's a lot more difficult to estimate. because it's highly dependent on the time of year. Like some months can be twice as much as other months. And also there's a lot of fixed costs. So there's like a fixed cost of like $100 to fill out the customs paperwork. And there's a fixed cost of $50 to unload the container off the ship or whatever else. So there's a number of these fixed costs. So whether or not I'm sending like 1 carton or 100 cartons in a full container, those fixed costs stay the same. So it's much more difficult to estimate. But keep in mind, freight forwarders will give you as many quotes as you want for free. So like once you think you've come up with it, feel free to just ask the freight forwarder for a quote for that particular product. All right. All right. On Facebook, Arl Daily says, ungating yourself versus ungating services who do it for you. Is it worth it? To be completely honest with you, I don't have a whole lot of experience with ungating. My Amazon account's pretty old, so I actually opened it before gated categories were even a thing, so I'm ungated for every category. If I was you, I'd probably try it yourself, and if you get rejected, I'm sure these ungating services know exactly how it works. So, or if you have plenty of cash to spend, you're not worried about it, you could just hire them from the start. Those would be my thoughts on it. Let's see. Juan on YouTube says, hey, Greg, my question is about when is the last month to order in China? Should I worry about the Chinese holidays? The major Chinese holiday that you should worry about is the Chinese New Year. Factories in China will essentially be shut down for the entire month of February. And ideally, your order is shipped before Chinese New Year, or you put your deposit down after Chinese New Year. So that'd be like March 1. If you want your production run to ship before Chinese New Year, you probably have to get your order in, I'd say like by Christmas or before Christmas, like the middle of December, if you want it to ship before the Chinese New Year. So you can keep that in mind. All right, on YouTube, Farides says, I'm really confused with trademarking and brand registry. Can I kick off my private label without it? Absolutely. You do not have to have brand registry. You do not have to have a trademark. Don't let it confuse you. Go ahead and just launch your private label product without it. I have my Jungle Snugs right now that do not have brand registry, and they are not trademarked yet, and they're selling good. So don't let that confuse you or intimidate you. Down the road, if you decide you do want brand registry, because there are some perks associated with it, you just file for a trademark. It costs you a few $100. You get the trademark like a freaking 8 months, a really long time later, 6 or 8 months later, and then you can sign up for brand registry. But it doesn't matter. You don't need it. Don't let that slow you down or don't let it stop you from getting started. On YouTube, Hustle On Mom says, hello, everyone. I need help with my product packaging. Should I have the FN SKU designed into the color box template? If so, what happens to the... And there's a question mark. I guess that one's not finished. Yes, I would recommend printing your FN SKU directly on the box. That's what I do. Who would want to put all those stickers on the box? Just print it right on the box, okay? You get the FN SKU barcode out of Seller Central after you've created that listing. And yes, I would encourage you to print it directly on your packaging. On YouTube, Josie said, how long does it usually take before you start seeing sales? So I have this launch process where as soon as my product's in stock, I'm giving away coupons on JumpSend. I'm also bidding aggressively on PPC. So I have sales the first day that they land there, but that's because these are like essentially like forced sales, or I'm really pushing for these sales. So I might be losing money on these sales, but when you launch a product on Amazon, day one, it's just lost on page like 100 of Amazon where no one can ever find it. And it's stuck there until you start getting sales, okay? So as soon as your product gets into Amazon, you need to encourage sales somehow. The two most cost-effective and easy ways to do this are the PPC platform on Amazon and JumpSend. With JumpSend, you can give away coupons for your product to real shoppers. They'll purchase this, and then Amazon sees that as a sale. After you start making sales on Amazon, then you'll start getting reviews on Amazon, and also your sales velocity increases. Therefore, you're ranking higher for your keywords, And that's when you start doing well and organically getting sales. So the first few weeks, plan on losing money in order to get sales. And in return, you're building this listing that is going to make you money for years to come. Ronnie said, do you still sell on Amazon, Greg? Yes, I have over 100 SKUs on Amazon, and my Amazon business is still doing quite well. I do have a team of 3 people who manage my Amazon business for me. We're launching new products every single month, and I spend about 95% of my time on Jungle Scout on the software, and then my other 5% of the time is still working with them to launch new products, to keep my head in the game, to know exactly what's working and still get my hands dirty every week. Hugh Wong says, when will Jungle Scout be available for Japan? I think Q1 of 2018 is a good estimate for that. All right, on YouTube, Rob Hale says, is an opportunity score of 7 or 8 in the Chrome extension good enough to move forward, or should I try for 9s or 10s? Keep in mind the opportunity score. This is just a piece of guidance for you. It's not the end-all be-all of whether or not an opportunity is going to be good. But a score of 7 or 8 is actually very good. I've only seen 110 in my entire life, and only a very few number of 9s. So 7s and 8s are good scores. Sarah on YouTube said, I found a product where competitors have 2 to 6 variations of a product and around 300 units a month. Is that still a good product? It's hard to know just from the information that you've given me here. However, 300 units per month of sales is strong. That's my goal, what I shoot for all the products that I launch. So just off the very brief information that you've given me, I'd say it's good enough to continue to look at other indicators of whether or not you should sell that product or not. Eric says, what advice can you give us for ranking higher? Or do you have a course for that? I'd be happy to give you some advice. Let's talk real quick about what Amazon takes into account in their ranking algorithm. At the end of the day, this is what everybody wants, is to organically rank well for our relevant, our primary keywords, okay? Amazon, of course, like Google and all of their search engines, they're not transparent about exactly what they take into account to rank these. However, I believe that I have a pretty good understanding of what it is. Keyword relevancy is the first one. So is your product relevant for the keyword that someone searched for? Your product needs to be relevant, so in a relevant category, and it also needs to be indexed for those particular keywords. So that's one important thing to note. After that, the 2 main things that I believe Amazon takes into account in their ranking algorithm is sales velocity, both in the near term and history of the product. So it means how many units this product's been selling recently and historically as well. And the second thing is the conversion rate of your listing. I believe those are the 2 largest things that they take into account after keyword relevancy. Now, there's a lot of things, of course, that go into conversion rate, right? The conversion rate is when someone lands on your listing, what percentage of those people actually check out? So, of course, there's a lot of things that can affect your conversion rate, right? The quality of your pictures, the quality of your sales copy, the price, maybe your unique selling proposition, all these types of things, the number of reviews you have, the rating of your reviews, all those types of things go into your conversion rate, okay? So you need to be thinking about those things. Are you indexed for all of your relevant keywords? If so, then you need to be thinking about how can I increase my sales velocity and how can I increase my conversion rate? Increasing your conversion rate, I would recommend running split tests. Of course, you can use Splitly to do so, or you can try to do them manually, although it's quite laborious. Split testing like your main image is a good one. Testing different price points is a good one. And then after that, you need to be thinking about how can I increase the number of sales? And it's okay if it's artificially for a little while through coupons or aggressive PPC spend. And then in return, you should get, or you should organically be ranking well for products. Let's see, where was I at here? All right, Mohammed on Facebook said, "Hey Greg, I've done research overload. I've spoken with many suppliers, but I can't seem to move forward. What do I do?" It sounds like you're stuck in analysis paralysis, and that's not a good area to be. I'd recommend you choose your 3 favorite products, write them down, list the pros and cons of each, and at the end of the day, you just have to go with one and get started and launch it. Through that process, you'll learn more than you ever can watching videos like this or reading any other type of educational content. You just need to launch a product and then see where it goes from there. Worst case scenario is you probably break even, like make your money back, but don't really make any money. But after that, you'll have all the knowledge and understanding to be able to launch these successful products, okay? So just got to get started. Bentley on Facebook says, "What's your strategy in optimizing the 250 backend key characters?" What I do, I take all of the keywords that I think are relevant for my particular product. I put them through a keyword frequency counter, and then these are the ones that I put in my backend keywords, okay? According to Amazon, you should be indexed for the keywords that are in your listing, all right? So with that being said, the backend keywords shouldn't really matter much, right? I think everyone puts too much emphasis on these backend keywords because your main keywords, they should be in your title, and the next most important keywords, they should be in your bullet points and your description, right? So my advice to you would be not to worry too much about the backend keywords, but that's what I do. On Facebook, Cindy Trading Crew said, "If you do not live in the EEA, how do you apply for a trademark?" Also, Cindy, congratulations on winning this week's giveaway. I don't know what EEA is. Maybe the EU. From my understanding, I haven't applied for a trademark in the EU yet, but it's my understanding you can do so without living in the EU. I'm 99% sure that is correct. Yeah. On YouTube, the Dani says, "Hey Greg, do you actually think that sleeping bags are good products to sell? Because following your criteria and having a look at the extension, it seems pretty bad. Even only a 3-point rating." I think the sleeping bags will do well. Are there better products to sell? Probably, but for one thing you guys have to realize is like at some point, like you just have to go for it and get moving. And are there better products to sell? Yeah, there is, but like we're doing this for a case study, and I'm a big fan of making steps and making progress. So I'm confident the sleeping bags are going to do well, even though I'm sure there's much better products in the UK and on Amazon. Joel says, "What's the last day in November Amazon will receive shipments for Black Friday and in December for Christmas?" Amazon released some dates for us that I don't remember of their recommended dates. However, this is what I'll say. During November and December, their distribution centers are very backed up, okay? As you can imagine, there's tons and tons of inventory going in and out of these things. I know they hire additional staff for this time of year, but I would just get your shipments in as early as possible because sometimes there is like a few weeks delay, specifically if you're doing, I know it's specifically difficult for trucks to book loading dock spots. Same thing with if you're shipping a full container. But even if you're shipping loose parcels through UPS or whatever, I know it still gets backed up. So I would, if you're trying to get it there by Black Friday, I would try to just have it there in the beginning of November. Marcus says, "How do you deal with returns?" I deal with returns very simply. I check that box telling Amazon to dispose of all returns. That obviously does not make any of us as sellers feel good considering we spent our hard-earned money to purchase these products, and when people return them, we just dispose of them. However, I've never found a cost-effective way to remove those shipments, repackage them or fix them up, and ship them back into Amazon. If you wanted to do that yourself, you probably could, but I'm not into like doing like laborious like type work like that. And all my products have plenty of margin to just be able to dispose of the products, okay? And also, like, you have to think, let's use like marshmallow sticks for example. I land them at Amazon for like $4. Like, it would be possible when people returned them. Okay, well, I guess one option is just to put them back into your inventory, but I wouldn't recommend this because what happens is sometimes people like open up your boxes or whatever, use it, then put it back in there, seal the box, and they tell Amazon it's new. And then Amazon puts it back in your inventory. It gets shipped to a customer. They open it up and realize that it's been used, and they leave you a bad review. So I never put returns back into my inventory, okay? I just dispose of them. So yeah, that's how I handle them. AJ says, if my Jungle Scout subscription expires and I buy it again later this year, are my tracked products going to disappear? Will I have to re-add everything? Yes. When you cancel your Jungle Scout subscription, we delete all your information. So yeah, if you decide to sign up for it again, you would have a brand new account. Do you want reviews? William on YouTube said, do you want reviews before you do PPC? Your PPC will convert better if you have reviews. That being said, I generally start it even before I have reviews. But if you're on a tight budget, you could wait until you get a few reviews and then turn on your PPC. Nerd Gang on YouTube said, I just ordered samples from Alibaba and chose DDP shipping, but they modified the shipping order to XWorks at last minute. Is this bad? For the samples, it doesn't really matter. Because, yeah, with either of those Incoterms, you have to pay duties anyway. And with samples, it doesn't really matter. For your production run, it depends how you are going to be shipping that product, depending on which Incoterms you want, whether that's EXW or FOB. If you're shipping ocean, just do FOB. If you're shipping air, just do the XWorks. On Facebook, Jordan Howard says, does it matter how someone lands on your page affect your ranking? Do they have to land via search? Is a link worse? Also, what is the deal with TOS and giveaways? Nobody knows the answer. Some people say like, oh, if you drive external traffic to your page and then they purchase, like Amazon will rank you better. I don't actually believe that. I don't think Amazon is that sophisticated, believe it or not. I think that they just count a sale as a sale. It doesn't matter how someone gets to that page, whether it's search or whether it's your storefront page or whether you're driving outside traffic. My personal belief is it doesn't matter, but no one out there besides Amazon and the people who work there know for sure. What's the deal with TOS and giveaways? You are allowed to give away coupon codes, and people are allowed to use coupons to purchase your product. If Amazon didn't want this, they wouldn't give you the ability to create coupon codes. That's what coupon codes are for, okay? And they've been very clear about that. That is 100% within the terms of service. They encourage it. They like people purchasing. They think coupons are cool. What I think you're referring to is reviews, and want something that is not illegal or not legal, and it's illegal. I'd strongly discourage you guys not to do this, is to exchange any type of incentive for a review. So you cannot pay someone for a review. That's an exchange, an incentivized review. You cannot give someone a discount in exchange for a review. You can't offer to wash their car in exchange for a review. Those are all incentivized reviews, and all those are against Amazon's terms of service, and they are very smart as far as that goes. So I would strongly encourage you to follow those rules. Robin Weber says, I'm having a hard time finding products in Jungle Scout. Wonder if I need to niche down. What would be the best way to do that? Will the app have the ability someday to go further down into subcategories? Robin, I would encourage you to either look on our YouTube channel or follow along with one of the webinars where you can look over my shoulder about how to find these products. Because as soon as you understand how to use Jungle Scout, it's like within a few hours you can find tons of products. So I imagine that at this point for you, I know like the tool can be overwhelming for people when they're just getting started because there's like so much data and all these, all this stuff to look at, and it's like overwhelming your first time. But if you watch like an hour webinar, watch over my shoulder as I show you how to use it and harness the power of all this, then I think you should be able to find some products really easily. Charlie Chow said, should I be concerned if Amazon is a listed seller on many of the products I'm thinking of selling? You should be the opposite of concerned. Amazon is the best competitor to have. I know saying that goes against probably contrary belief, but even what people would think. But keep in mind that Amazon, the products that Amazon sells and ships, they have really crappy listings because they don't care about them. They have a freaking billion listings. They're not going through optimizing each one. They're not running PPC. You don't have to worry about them doing anything shady or whatever else. They're generally not indexed for very many keywords. Whereas an FBA seller, one of these private label guys, they're running PPC. They're running split tests on their listing. They have really nice photos. So FBA private label sellers, they're the ones that are stronger competitors. The Amazon listings, those are garbage. So that's the best competitor to have. Is the list on YouTube, TO86 says, is the listing algorithm ranking system anything like SEO? I'm sorry, TO86. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that question. If you want to try to rephrase it, I'd be happy to do my best to answer it. On YouTube, Cosmic Affairs says, do you need a freight forwarder with express shipping? Even if my supplier says it comes with customs clearance. If you're using an air courier like DHL or UPS or FedEx or TNT, then no, you do not need a freight forwarder. Darkest Deeds on YouTube says, I have a question about variations. I'll use drink coasters as an example. There are wood, stone, paper. Under each of these, there are tons of designs. How the heck do you pick a product with so many choices? I would sell the ones that are selling the best. I'd say about 75% of categories, Amazon gives different bestsellers ranks for different variations. So it's very easy for us to tell which ones are selling the best. If it's one of those categories like sports and outdoors, I don't know why they do this, but the bestsellers ranks the same for all the variations, and that makes it more difficult. But I always go back to the data, and I would look at the data to see which ones of these are selling best, and those are the ones I would want to be selling. Larry on Facebook says, hello, Greg. Thank you for all the advice you give us. I've watched all your videos and they have helped a lot. My question is, on the title character limit, I've read that 80 is best versus 200, so your title is clean for the customer experience. What do you think? I think that's BS. Amazon recommends 80 because they want this like nice, pretty looking catalog with it's all 80, but you get indexed for those keywords carry the largest amount of weight in the title. So use all 200 of them. Also, when customers leave a seller feedback with a 5-star for a product, could I message the customer to ask them nicely to please leave a review on the product yourself? Yes, you can do that. Don't offer to incentivize them anyway, but a friendly message asking them to do so with nothing in return. Don't phrase it like that, but I just ask them nicely to do so is totally cool, and I would recommend it. AJ says, I only have $5K to invest. Should I do online arbitrage first for Q4 and start my PL early next year? I would start with the PL process as soon as you can. The online arbitrage thing, it's a fine way to make a little bit of cash. However, it's not creating a system that generates money for you, okay? With online arbitrage, you still have to go out and like find the products and whatever else. To me, it's still a job. So like you're probably replacing whatever job you have now with another job. Whereas launching private label products, you are creating a business and a system that generates money for you without you having to exchange your hours to do so. So I would start as early as possible on your private label product. Hey, Greg, some courses suggest to choose products with under 200 reviews, whereas others suggest to choose ones with under 50 reviews. What do you think in this regard? I think it's fairly easy to find niches where there's sellers in like the top 10 with under 50 reviews. So I would encourage you to do that. At the same time, don't get too hung up on these rules of thumb. At the end of the day, what you're looking for is a niche that would be easy for you to source and sell this product, has good margins, and has the largest difference of demand versus competition. So you want the highest amount of demand with the lowest amount of competition. You want like the best ratio possible there. So don't get too hung up in these rules of thumbs like 200 reviews or 50 reviews or whatever else. Alejandro Hernandez on YouTube says, hey Greg, what are API keys? API keys. API stands for Application Programming Interface. It is a way that two pieces of software communicate with each other. You can think it's like a telephone line or something between these two. API keys are essentially the password. So this guy is trying to talk to this dude. He's saying, hey, you can't talk to me and access my data unless you have the password. The API keys are the password. Blake on YouTube says, I have 500 units of my first product being made and will be done in 3 weeks or so. Congratulations, Blake. That's awesome. Is it worth to pay the extra buck and ship by air for fourth quarter, or should I ship freight? All right, so it's gonna be done in 3 weeks. That puts you in the middle of November. I would see what the price is for air shipping. It depends on the product, because like really big, heavy products, they're very expensive to ship by air. Whereas lighter weight ones, it might be worth it to pay the extra money. I would also take into account is what's the likelihood that this product would be purchased for a gift. Some products like Band-Aids, they're probably not going to sell any better during Q4. If it could potentially be a gift, then I would probably consider the air shipping a little bit stronger. All right, Alexandra on Facebook says, my ASIN was removed for IP infringement. Can I create a variation and keep my reviews? It is the same product, but corrected the IP infringement. After you've corrected the IP infringement, my experience is you can contact generally it's a lawyer that you get the letter from, tell them that it's been corrected, apologize, say, you know, it's a mistake by the art department, blah, 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 blah. Could they retract the IP infringement claim? That's the best thing to do, because then Amazon essentially removes that IP violation from your account. Because I think if you get too many of those, Amazon would likely shut down your account. So that's the best thing to do. If you can't get them to remove it, you could try going directly to Amazon, tell them that it's been fixed. And generally that should work, but creating a variation and keeping the reviews, that seems a little bit shady. I don't know if it would work or not, but I don't think that's your best option. On YouTube, Alexis says, with FOB, how do you find a freight forwarder to get the stock from port to Amazon warehouse? The freight forwarder can handle this for you. Just ask them to do so, okay? So you can use Flexport or Shapiro, or you can find a different freight forwarder on freightos.com and just tell them, hey, these are where my goods are in China. This is the Amazon distribution center I'm trying to get them to. I need you to handle the rest, and just let them handle it. But essentially what's going to happen is if it's a full container, they can actually take that whole container directly to Amazon's distribution center and unload it. If it's going to one distribution center, if it's going to multiple distribution centers, or it's not a full container load, then they would unpack this container. They would palletize. So, you know, they put your boxes on pallets, they'd wrap it up in shrink wrap, put a label on it, put it on a truck, and then take it to Amazon. But you're going to want to hire a freight forwarder that handles all that for you. John Gao on Facebook says, what are you doing about Amazon's changes in UPC codes? I am not aware of any changes in Amazon UPC codes in the past year or so. I print the FNSKU barcode, which is Amazon's unique identifier, on my packaging. I don't put a UPC or an EAN barcode on my packaging, just the FNSKU. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean by the question there. On YouTube, SNMGL said, from your 100 products, how many percent do you ship by air, and how much percentage by sea? 99% by sea and 1% by ocean. Air is more expensive. It's only good when like you're in a pinch and you need products very quickly. So I generally do sea shipments. That's the most cost-effective way. And then also, when you get a little bit bigger, there's economies of scale. Like you can actually, if you have 2 different shipments that each take up a half a container, you can put both those shipments into one container. And then when you're shipping full container loads, there's some pretty serious economies of scale there, and some serious cost savings associated with that. Shibu says, thanks for your help, Greg. I just placed my first order with a Chinese supplier. Congratulations. That's awesome. Does Amazon charge anything more than the monthly subscription fees until the product is on the shelves? Nope, they don't. That's it. You don't even need the monthly subscription fee in the meantime. You can just downgrade your account to the, whatever it's called, like personal seller's account to the professional seller's account. Lenny says, Greg rocks. Thank you. You rock. I'm learning a lot from the $1 Million Case Study. Thank you. No question, just praise. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're tuning in and getting a lot of value out of it. Wicked Sunny says, what's your experience with Alibaba Trade Insurance? I like Alibaba Trade Insurance. I've never had to actually file a claim with them, so I don't know what that process would be like, but it's nice to know you have that extra level of protection if the factory totally flakes out on you. And they do cool things like, I know all the payments I did in September with Alibaba Trade Insurance, I got a free inspection with, so that was cool. And it seems like, Alibaba Trade Insurance only came out like probably 2 years ago now. During the first like 6 months or year, when you would ask factories about it, they'd be like, well, I've never heard of it. But lately, it seems like a lot of factories are picking up on it and are cool with it. So I would go for it. Alibaba Trade Insurance is nice. Karen said, hey, Greg, as we must reply to customers' questions within 24 hours, 24/7, should we have 2 VAs, one for weekdays, another for weekend? Isn't it risky as Amazon can suspend our account if there are delays? It's like I don't get that many. I don't know about you, but I don't really get like that many questions. Depending on the product, like if your product breaks a lot and it's like difficult to assemble, you might get a lot. But other products like my marshmallow sticks, they get like 2 questions a month. So I think what most people do, at least like in the early days, is you just get the emails on your phone and it's like, whatever, you're sitting at the Starbucks drive-thru and you just reply to it real quickly or whatever. I think that's what most people do. I don't think you need 2 VAs for it. That seems like a little overkill unless you have quite a few products. Amazon doesn't really suspend your account if there are delays. It's more so like they ask you to fix it. There's been a lot of times that I've like forgotten to respond to questions for like a week or 10 days or whatever. And nothing ever happened. Probably if you were bad enough about it, like if you got tons and tons of emails and you never answered any of them, something would probably happen, but I wouldn't stress over that too much. All right, we have time for about a few more questions. All right, on YouTube, question says, oh, excuse me. We have a question on my first product. Thanks for everything. Quick question. I have done a giveaway on JumpSend for 2 weeks and I'm spending heavily on PPC. I've gotten a lot of sales from both. Awesome. It sounds like you're off to the correct start. However, once I'm out of budget for the day for PPC, I don't get many other sales. How long does it take to get organic sales? Good question. 2 weeks is a little early to be expecting a large number of organic sales. Just stick with it. You'll start getting organic sales once you start ranking well for some of your main keywords, okay? So I would just stick with it, keep spending or keep getting like the PPC sales. It might take 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. It kind of depends on the competitiveness of your product or of your niche, like how strong your product is, like how well it converts over others, those types of things. But definitely don't get discouraged after just 2 weeks. Kind of a similar one. Josie said, I've been running PPC for a few weeks now and I signed up for JumpSend a couple days ago. Is there anything else I need to do to help with sales? That's all I would do. Coupons through JumpSend and PPC. Lauer, apologize if I butcher some of these names. Hey, Greg, I'm selling on an existing selling, which I'm guessing means listings. If I enter the keywords, would it be indexed or the original listing would be impacted? When you sell, first of all, I'm assuming that this is like a legit item to be selling on other listings. Keep in mind, like you have to sell that exact same SKU. It can't be like a similar product with a different SKU because that would be a counterfeit product. When you edit a listing that you did not create, That's not necessarily a bad thing, but there's no set rules on who has listing control and who can edit those. So you could try it, but keep in mind there's only one listing. Like no one, like Amazon owns all of the listings. No individual owns the listing. So people kind of think that it's like, well, you don't own the listing. Amazon owns the listing, even though you created it. You just have the ability to edit it and the ability to sell on it. But other people could have the ability to edit it as well. But I think what your question is here, like if you edit the description, the keywords, and whatever else, if it lets you do so, then that would change the listing for everybody because it's not yours. It's just one listing on Amazon. Key Long said, if you found a good product with good margins that are good right now and competition is low, but there's little room for improvement, and you feel like it would end up in a price war, is it worth pursuing? Again, like when I get details like this just through the questions, it's kind of hard for me to know for sure about these products. It seems like to me you're probably overthinking this a little bit though, and worrying about things that you don't need to worry about yet. So I would probably just go for it. All right, we have time for 2 or 3 more. Deepak says, hello, I am Deepak from Japan. Hello. I was out of inventory for 20 days. My inventory will arrive within 4 days. So how can I relaunch the product and get it back to rank well on Amazon Japan? What's your advice when out of inventory? You'll probably be surprised that you don't need to do anything. You'll have to wait and see, but I'd say like 3/4 of the time when you run out of stock and you go then get back in stock, Amazon kind of like remembers where you're ranked at and they essentially kind of like put you back there. If that doesn't happen, that's more so like in competitive, more competitive environments, you may need to like run some kind of like some heavy PPC or do some more giveaways or whatever it took to initially launch that product on a lighter scale, but you probably won't even have to do anything. Wedding Singer on YouTube says, I sell a product at a sales price. Does the FBA fee come down in relation to the sale price? The FBA fee, as far as their commission is the amount that the customer pays excluding shipping. So if they use a coupon or you have a sales price or whatever else, like even if they use a coupon, they check out for like $2, you just pay that 15% commission or whatever the commission is in your respective category on that net amount, not including shipping. Andrea says, hello, would you recommend to go for products which is made from glass, easily breakable, or is there some difficulties with shipping? Yeah, you can go for a product with glass. Keep that in mind that it is breakable. So obviously you'd maybe want to like make sure that has really good packaging or beef up the packaging, and maybe also factor in a certain percent for breakage when Amazon ships it. If the product arrives broken at the customer's house, essentially you have to give them one more unit. But yeah, I wouldn't stay away from that just because it's glass. Hello, Greg. Don't you feel that the Amazon marketplace is saturated? This is from DLOR. Good question. It's very hard for us as sellers to comprehend how big Amazon is, okay? Sure, there's like a couple hundred people watching this right now or whatever. Of those, though, only a few small percent, I wish it was more, but only a few small percent of you guys will actually start selling on Amazon. And most of these people are only going to be selling a few products. That's in relation to like over 100 million people shopping on Amazon every day. 100 million, okay? So like these are like numbers that are kind of hard for us to fathom unless you can kind of like visualize them. But no, I don't think it's saturated because Amazon is growing so quickly and there's so much volume there and so many buyers that like even it doesn't matter if there's like 10 times as many like new sellers coming in. There's just so much demand there that like us as a whole bunch of like small time sellers, we just don't have the capacity and the capital to be able to like feed the beast the inventory that it really needs. So no, I don't feel like it's saturated. I launch new products every single month. They're doing well. You know, the doom and gloom guys would try to say like, oh man, back in the day, it was so much better, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But there's still tons of room for new sellers. Like, you know, Yeah. All right, last question. Hey, Greg, I've been approved for a GT9 exemption for my private label product. Have you ever had experience with this product, with this process? I have to renew the exemption every 90 days. Do you recommend this over GS1? Cool. I've actually never been approved for this. I've never heard of anyone who has. So first of all, that's cool. What I would do, then I would probably just renew it. I'd apply for brand, get a trademark, apply for brand registry, and I would just renew it until you get the brand registry. Once you get brand registry, then you can change your unique identifier to something like the model number or something else that you don't have to worry about GS1. So that's what I would do. That seems like best case scenario. All right. One last one. Then I'm going to cut it off. I said it like 4 times, but this is the last one. Worry on Facebook says, my first product is a beach accessory. It's been live since January with very dismal sales. Listing is optimized. The majority of keywords are on the first page, however, no sale. I ran a lightning sale the other day and it didn't do well. How do I dispose of the inventory? Can we sell at a deep discount, like $1 or $2 to clear the inventory, or any other suggestions? Can JumpSend help? Good question. Considering it's a beach accessory, it is probably hard to sell at this time of year in October because there's not many places. I'm assuming this is in the US that you can go to the beach. At this point, it seems to me like you could either liquidate it by dropping the price very low. You could put up coupons for a discount on JumpSend, or you could remove the inventory. You could store it somewhere because storage fees are going to be high, and then send it back in next spring when beach type products are selling well on Amazon. So that's it, guys. I have to get back to work. If you haven't already done so, smash that like or love button. Hit subscribe if you're on YouTube to make sure you're notified about all of the upcoming content. And if you haven't entered my giveaway for the founder books, I'm giving away 50 books. They're $80 books. Just go to gregmercer.com/founder and you can find all of the details for that. Thanks, guys. I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya.